Let me ask you something most people never stop to ask themselves. What's actually driving you? Not what are you building, not what are you working on, and not what are you chasing. What's underneath it? Because ambition can look powerful from the outside. It can look impressive, productive, and disciplined. But internally, it can be coming from two very different places: strength or insecurity. And the uncomfortable truth is this: from the outside, they look exactly the same. Long hours, big risks, expansion, and momentum. But the emotional root is completely different. And if you don't understand that difference, you can build an entire life on the wrong foundation. For years, I felt this quiet pressure to be more successful, more established, more respected, and more impressive. And if I'm being honest, most of that pressure didn't come from other people, it came from me. There's this belief that if you're not expanding, you're stagnating. If you're not accelerating, you're falling behind. And that belief feels like ambition. But sometimes it's just fear dressed up as ambition. Fear of being ordinary, fear of not reaching your potential, and fear of being overlooked. And fear can be incredibly productive, and that's what makes it dangerous. Now, at the time, I was running the cookery school, and it was going really well. It had momentum, it had recognition, and it won some awards, and people knew about it locally and were using the service. But it wasn't exploding overnight, and it wasn't some national brand. But it was real, it had potential, and it had that clear identity. So instead of asking myself how I could strengthen it or refine it, I started looking for something else to add. I came across the opportunity to buy a delicatessen, and almost immediately I began building that justification in my head. It complemented the cookery school, it would diversify income, it would give me a physical shopfront presence, and it would make the overall brand look bigger and more established. So, on paper, it made sense. And if I'm being honest, that's what I told myself. This is strategic, this is growth, and this is ambition in action. But beneath all that logic, there was something else going on. The cookery school wasn't scaling as quickly as I'd imagined it would. It wasn't becoming big fast enough. And I didn't want to sit in that space of gradual growth. I didn't want to sit with the discomfort of patience. So instead of going deeper with what I already had, I went wider. At the time, I would have called that ambition. Looking back, I can see that part of it was insecurity. When I got the key to the delicatessen, it felt really powerful. There is something incredibly intoxicating about expansion. You walk into a new space and you see possibility everywhere. You feel like you are leveling up, and you feel like you're becoming the person you pictured in your head when you first started out. It feeds your identity, and suddenly you're not just running one business, you're running multiple ventures. You feel serious, you feel capable, and you feel important. And that feeling can be addictive, because for a while it silences that doubt. It quiets that voice that says you haven't done enough yet, and it replaces that uncertainty with activity. But activity is not the same as clarity, and at the time, I thought I was being bold, but in reality, I was trying to accelerate my sense of significance. What people don't see when you expand is that emotional cost. Two businesses does not mean double success. Often it means double pressure. There were two sets of overheads, two sets of operational issues, and two sets of staffing concerns, and two sets of decisions that never really switched off. And my head was constantly divided. I would be at one site thinking about the other, and I'd be trying to grow one while firefighting the other. So instead of focusing deeply on making one thing excellent, I was constantly context switching, and context switching drains you. It creates the illusion of momentum, but it fragments your attention. So I began to realise that I wasn't building from calm strength. I was building from urgency. And urgency feels impressive in the short term, but it's exhausting over time. There wasn't a dramatic collapse, there wasn't a single catastrophic moment. It was much quieter than that. It was that slow erosion of enjoyment. Now I remember thinking to myself, why does this feel heavier than it should be? Why does this feel like something I'm managing rather than something I'm proud of? I had expanded externally, but internally I felt stretched. And that's when I had to face something really uncomfortable. Was this really ambition rooted in vision, or was it insecurity rooted in the need to prove something? And that question stayed with me for a long time. If you're serious about building something meaningful, don't just consume content, use structure. I've created 2 tools to help you do exactly that. The Ambition Journal gives you 90 days of guided momentum, and the Ambition Clarity Toolkit helps you get unstuck and take your first real steps. So scan the QR code on screen and explore the store. If you're ready to move, it's there for you. The difficult truth is that ambition and insecurity can look identical from the outside. Both work hard, both take risks, both grow, and both push forward. The difference is internal. Healthy ambition comes from a place of sufficiency. It says, I am enough and I want to build something meaningful. Insecurity-driven ambition comes from deficiency. It says, I'm not enough yet and I need to prove that I am. One feels steady and the other feels restless. Now, healthy ambition allows you to pause and refine. Insecurity never lets you rest because rest feels like falling behind. And if you don't recognize which one is driving you, you can end up building an entire life on the wrong emotional foundation. Fear is one of the most productive forces in the world. It will get you out of bed early, it will keep you working late, it will push you to expand, to launch, and to add more. But fear never tells you that you've done enough, it always moves the goalposts. So you hit a milestone and instead of feeling settled, you feel pressure to hit the next one. You open a second business and instead of feeling proud, you feel responsible for making it bigger. And that's the trap. Now, when ambition is rooted in fear, you cannot feel peace. And if you cannot feel peace, then something underneath needs attention. When you build to prove yourself, there is no finish line, because the goal was never growth. The goal was validation, and validation is a moving target. You can chase it for years, you can expand again and again, but if the foundation is insecurity, the structure will always feel unstable. And that period of my life taught me something that I wish I had understood earlier. Expansion without alignment creates fragility, and depth without expansion creates strength. It's not that growth is wrong, it's that growth without self-awareness can be dangerous. Healthy ambition is quieter than we think. It does not constantly seek escalation. It focuses on depth before breadth. It asks honest questions before making big moves, and it considers sustainability, considers energy, and it considers alignment. Healthy ambition can feel calm, not passive, not lazy, but calm. It builds from clarity rather than comparison. And when ambition is rooted in strength instead of scarcity, it becomes sustainable. I was looking at my analytics this week and noticed something really interesting. 97% of the people watching my videos aren't subscribed. Only 3% are, which means most of you are here watching, thinking, engaging, but you're not actually part of the community yet. So here's the simple ask. If you watch more than one of my videos, if they've made you think, if they've challenged you even slightly, then subscribe. There's no pressure, no gimmicks, just real conversations about ambition, growth and building something meaningful. You're already watching, so you might as well be part of it. So I'll ask you again, genuinely, what's driving you right now? If nobody was watching, if nobody was impressed, and if there was no applause, would you still be building what you're building? There's no shame in recognising insecurity. Most ambitious people start there. This shift happens when you become aware of it. Because once you're aware, you can choose differently. And choosing differently is where the strength begins. Now, if this video made you think, then please give it a like. If you want more honest conversations about ambition, then please do subscribe to the channel. And in the comments, tell me in one word what's driving you right now. Now, next week, I want to talk about identity and how the version of yourself you believe you are shapes the goals you chase. Because until you understand that, you'll keep building from old narratives. Ambition in action isn't about doing more, it's about building from who you truly are. So I'll see you all again next Sunday.